Well, hello everyone, and you join us here today to have another one of our now world-famous competitions. You may have seen previously, and if you haven't, please do go back and take a look, that Tom and I like to pitch ourselves against each other and our watch knowledge. Now, having a lot more experience than he has, I usually do win, and rightfully so. However, the people in the comments often disagree, and I don't like this. So I'm challenging Tom again, yet again, to see who can come up with the best bargain alternatives to some iconic watches. Tom, how are you feeling today? Are you ready for some more competition?
I have got some big boys for a budget.
Okay.
Yeah, some nice budget iconic watches that are gonna, at a glance, look like some of those heavy hitters. People are gonna be like, whoa, oh no.
Excellent. Well, we're going to get straight into it because we've got 10 watches to go through. There are 5 different categories, Tom, and I hope that you have been choosing the right watches for the categories. I know that you like to flout the rules sometimes, so I will be very strict. So first of all is the Rolex Gmt Master. Tom, do you want to share your choosing first?
Yes, so this is a watch brand that we featured fairly recently, and I've delved back into their collection again. This is Yima, and this is the Superman World Time GMT Coke, because nothing says GMT Master like the iconic two-tone aluminium Coke bezel with the red and black coloration, does it? Huh?
I thought you were going to say nothing says GMT Master than Superman.
Right.
But I said, why is this watch called Superman? I know he flies from time zone to time zone, but I imagine that his superpowers also included some sort of very accurate body clock.
I guess it's because it's instantly recognisable, and so is Superman.
He famously has a black and red pair of underpants.
Yeah, unless he's got his glasses on, and then he's not recognisable at all. So I'm not sure what to believe. So this is actually a professional dive watch for globetrotters. So as you can see, you've got the bidirectional bezel there with a bezel lock at 3 o'clock, which is useful for professional divers. High visibility dial with nice markers and super luminova. But most nicely of all, Andrew, it's got a in-house caliber, the Yema 3000, which is designed, developed and assembled in-house in France for $1,200, which is, that's probably like 10% of a Rolex GMT Master by now.
Fair play. Do you know what I really like about it? Is they have killed 2 birds with 1 stone when it comes to making a watch that's going to be popular. I'm not so much a fan of the second hand or that little thing that overlaps the bezel that looks a little bit like a set of braces for your teeth. But what they've done here very cleverly is they have just flared out the bracelet at the end. So they've gone, hey, GMT Master and those watches from the 70s that we talk about sometimes.
Yeah, it's a nice looking watch, I think. And I like the sort of subtle patina on the bezel and the markers. I think it's got a nice, exudes a nice character.
Well, good work, Tom. Let's see what people think in the comments below. But allow me to draw your attention now to the Steinhardt Ocean One Gmt. Now, you may think, as a dear viewer and listener might think on hearing that news, that I've chosen the Ocean One Gmt, that I'd have gone for the one that looks exactly like the GMT. But I thought, the last thing you want when you buy a watch that looks a bit like another watch is for it to look like it enough for people to say, oh, do you have a Rolex? And you say, no, I don't. So I've picked the black military Khaki diver watch. The inflection on military there is as written on the website. It's all in capitals for some reason.
Yeah, that's intimidating. Like the military.
So this watch here takes the GMT shape, very famous shape, the very famous hands and markers, and dresses up a little different. It's 42mm across instead of 40. It has black DLC stainless steel for that proper stealth military look, but flecked with gold in the crown and on the bezel and the hands and markers. The bezel itself is carbon fibre. It has 300 metres of water resistance. It has a lovely Sellita SW330 à la bord movement, which is based on the ETA 2892 design. So it's a high quality Swiss movement. I think this, Tom, you know how you have the Royal Oak and the Royal Oak offshore?
Yeah.
Well, this is like the GMT Master offshore, and I think that's kind of cool. And what's even cooler, only 200 pieces, limited edition, €650.
Nice. Yeah, it's good. That's a good package. Yeah, beefed up GMT, heavy set, limited edition. a fraction of the price. And I like your decision to move away from what is very homage looking in the rest of their GMT lineup. They're too close, aren't they? They almost don't have their own identity when they stay that faithful to a Rolex GMT.
Yeah. If it's identical bar the name, it's just a fake with a moustache on.
Different name, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of bangaroolies for your buccarillos, as they say.
Cool.
So, dear viewer and listener, who's winning so far? Me or Tom?
Cool, cheers.
Thanks for picking me.
Good to know. Next
then, the Breitling Navatimer. Tom, what have you got for me?
So, Breitling Navatimer. Now, Navi, navigation.
Yeah.
Timer. Mm-hmm. What's better than timer? That's right, Hawk. This is the Citizen Navajawk AT, which stands for Atomic Timekeeping. Now, I've always felt like the Breitling Navatimer dial is a bit too clean. So I want a bit more stuff on my dial, and that's what we're getting with the Navajawk AT. So, stainless steel case, stainless steel mesh bracelet, black dial with world time in 43 cities. Two alarms, presumably that's a primary alarm and then a secondary snooze that goes off 9 minutes later. I'm not sure.
As required for all pilots.
100th of a second chronograph. And this is my favourite bit, 99-minute countdown timer, Andrew. So that's if you really want to ramp up the suspense on New Year's Eve. Start the countdown at 99 minutes. And obviously our favourite Eco Drive, powered by light. Any light, never needs a battery. So what do you think of that? It's a bit of a beast, isn't it? 2 crowns, Andrew.
To quote the great Duke Nukem, what a mess. It's quite cool, actually.
I love it.
I think, Tom, have you said how much it costs? I can't remember.
It's £600 or $599.
It's a lot of things for the money. If you were charging by the thing on the dial, that's good value.
Yeah, I mean, you'd look like a hell of a big shot walking through town with this on your wrist, wouldn't you? People would think you're from the future.
Tom, this is a good shout. I think you've done a good job here, and I expect the commenters will agree with me. But I think they're going to agree with me more because my bargain version of the Breitling Navatimer is the Navatimer.
Oh,
what do you think?
Wow, that is a Navatimer. Yeah. What gives it away? Oh, the word Zinn.
So Zinn is a German brand, and you might be thinking, that looks very much like a Breitling Navatimer.
Absolutely.
And it does, because it absolutely 100% is a Breitling Navatimer. How do they get away with such atrocities?
Yes.
Well, you might remember back in the 1970s, Breitling wasn't doing so well. It wasn't doing so hot, and it went bankrupt, shut the doors. And they sold a bunch of stuff off, including the rights to the Navatimer design.
Really?
Purchased by Mr. Zinn, who continued making the Navatimer. And they actually upgraded it slightly. So for this 903 ST, you'll notice at 10 o'clock there's another crown. You see that little fella?
Yeah.
That allows you to turn the fiddly little bezel as an internal bezel rather than grabbing the knurls and turning the entire thing. So it's just a little bit sweeter there for your average pilot who wants to do their little calculations on their little watch. But a price of €3,090. A lot of cash, but that's half the price of the Breitling Navatimer.
Yeah, I mean, spot on. It looks more Navatimer than the Navatimer.
I'm really pleased with myself on that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't know that. So that's interesting. What else did they sell?
Breitling?
Yeah.
Willie Breitling's underpants? I'm not sure.
Yeah, who bought those? Mr. Zinn wearing those and only those when he designed the new Navatimer.
Getting into the groove.
Excellent.
Right, next watch. This is a tricky one because there is one Omega Speedmaster. Or is there? Have you found a budget alternative that is another Omega Speedmaster?
I cannot think of a budget Omega Speedmaster for the life of me. I mean, I thought maybe there would be one, but there just isn't a budget alternative for the Omega Speedmaster. You will not find one. Don't even try looking for it. Budget alternative Speedmasters do not exist, Andrew. They just do not. If you would like one, you could go and maybe try and queue up somewhere and find one, but you will not. So I've opted for a Seiko. Mm-hmm. Now this is the ProSpec Speed Timer. And Speed Timer sounds a bit like Speedmaster as well, doesn't it?
It does.
So there's that. And so we had the 1969 recreation, and now we've got the 1969 reinterpretation.
Semantics.
So, based on the high-precision international sports timing equipment introduced by Seiko in the 60s, Andrew, that's all there is to it, really. So I mentioned, the innovations of this reinterpretation, and one of those innovations is, in fact, blue. And also the 8R caliber, which is quite nice. And also, so 69 was a very good year for Omega's Moonwatch.
Yeah, very nice, yeah.
And this is 69 as well, so I think Seiko probably went into space with it. I'm not sure. I'd be surprised if they didn't. You would have thought Omega would have made more of the fact that they had the only Moonwatch, and they don't really seem to go on about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Seiko went up there as well.
That's the kind of thing that Seiko would do. Seiko would have... It's like they made the first automatic chronograph and just forgot to tell everyone. They probably did send a watch to the moon, and they were. You'd ask them, and they'd say yeah, and you say, why didn't you tell anyone? And they say, well, no one asked.
Oh yeah, we sent it up there, but we only released it in Osaka to our friends and family. Maybe we'll recreate it in the future, and it will look nothing like it. Anyway, 42.5mm solid stainless steel case with super hard coating. The pushers aren't going to fall off this, Andrew.
I should hope not.
Vertical clutch. So if that tickles your fancy. So there you go. Yeah, it's a steel chronograph. What more do you want? How much is it?
£2,740.
So but I mean that's what, like the Speedmaster is what, like £4,200. A little bit of a saving, but what can you do? There are no budget Moonwatches, Andrew. That's what I keep telling you. So
certainly not in solid stainless steel with a super hard coating. So say what you like about the Moonswatch, it is made of plastic.
The what?
And this isn't. So bonus, and it will only cost you 10 times as much. Tom, I feel like this has been your weakest input so far. I feel like you spent in researching this about 20 minutes just staring at the Moonswatch, being angry. And then you settled for this because it came out today.
It certainly had nothing to do with the email from Seiko UK that landed in my inbox moments before we decided to record this podcast. That's my pick, and I'm sticking with it.
Well, I aim to put you very squarely in your place with my choice for the bargain Omega Speedmaster. This is the Bulova Lunar Pilot. You might have noticed something about the name there. Yes,
Pilot.
And...
Yeah, no...
Lunar,
Pilot.
yes. Lunar, which is another word for space rock. We have one of those particular space rocks in orbit around our planet, and it's called the Moon. And the Omega Speedmaster went there in 1969. But do you know what went there in 1971 on the wrist of astronaut Dave Scott?
No.
A prototype Bulova that looked very much like this one.
Excellent.
So there you go. Dave Scott was harangued at the duty-free at NASA just before boarding Apollo 15 in 1971 by Mr. Bulova, and he was saying, take our watch as well, and he was like, oh, fine, whatever. He strapped it on, went up into space, walked on the moon with it on his wrist alongside the Speedmaster. The Speedmaster crystal actually popped off, and so the Bulova had to save the day. He was like, oh no, how do I know when to get back into the... Oh, my Bulova will tell me. So this is an actual moon watch, or rather a re-edition of the watch that went up. The original was a mechanical chronograph. This is a quartz, 45mm steel case, sapphire crystal, 50 metres water resistance, but £429.
That's brilliant. The pushers might leave a little bit to be desired for some people. I don't mind them. I would like it more if when you pushed in one, the other one popped out again. That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Like a sort of seesaw. Yeah. And also, Andrew, I'm looking at the tachymeter bezel, and I'm seeing the dots stop at 100.
Oh no!
But other than that, this is great. Yeah, home run with that. That's very good. Very good indeed.
That's the second time in this challenge that I've been very pleased with myself.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Okay, on to the next one, the Iwc Big Pilot. Tom, what did you pick as the alternative? Whatever it is, I hope there's not a pun in the title.
Oh, yes. Well, this is the AVI-8. I don't know what that means. Maybe you say Aviate, but I wouldn't call it a pun. It's just cool. Remember the film Seven? It's sort of like that. AV8, yeah, and specifically Type 300 automatic. So are you on the AV8 website right now?
I certainly am.
If you click over to our story, you might notice that they're a little bit light on heritage. So I can tell you that this is a brand that draws its inspiration from all things aviation. And that rhymed, Andrew, and you know it rhymed. So points for me in the comments there, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a brand that endeavours to shed light on remarkable aviators throughout history with various collaborations and partnerships. And this particular watch draws its inspiration from the Spitfire, a very famous plane that IWC also favour quite a lot with their visual cues. Mm-hmm. So you can see that the form factor of this watch is very similar to the Iwc Big Pilots. The markers and numerals and bits on the dial will take the visual cues from the cockpit of a Spitfire. And those hands, Andrew, look at those hands. Very IWC-esque. You've got a Miyota movement inside, but it's got a nice Spitfire rotor weight design, which is very cool. And I would say the gunmetal grey version of this looks very much like the Ceratanium version of the IWC. So £330, what's not to like?
Tom, I can 100% absolutely agree that this AV8 Oxford Blue is a watch that exists. I'd also like to add as well, 41 reviews, 5 stars.
Yeah, you do the maths. And it's not like a Longines Spirit Time where they have to put their 5-star reviews on the dial itself. So,
sponsored by Trustpilot.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting watch. It's certainly not a bad watch by any stretch. Is it the best one? I'm not sure.
Oh, well, there's no competition at the minute, so how do we know?
Well, hold that thought, because I've got something to show you.
I forgot we were doing it like that.
This is the Stower Fleegiverus 40 Vintage 95 Limited. Now, Stower may be a brand that you're not familiar with, but Stower is actually one of the original manufacturers of the Pilot's watch, alongside IWC. This design was made by 6 different companies, and Stower was one of them. So heritage for reals, yo. You get a 40mm black coated steel, so Pilot, not so much Big Pilot, but it's big enough. You get old radium colour Superluminova, and I will add that that's the actual colour of the paint that Superluminova sells. It's called Old Radium. A bit like rusted postbox like you might find in a Farrow and Ball catalogue. Heat blued steel hands, none of that chemical dip, and 50 metres of water resistance, but I mean, there's not too much water in a plane, is there? It's got a great movement in it, study to SW200. If you want a pilot's watch, this is one of the makers of the pilot's watches, so what more can you ask for?
Cool, yeah, that's a really good choice. I'm impressed by that.
I'm feeling very pleased with myself again, Tom. I'm feeling confident for the win on this one.
Yes, who was it again? Stower. That's how I'm saying it.
Or Stower, I don't know. It's a German brand. I don't know if you're talking like a Dutchman, I think.
Anyway, yeah, cool. Well done.
On to the final round then. The Panerai Luminor. Where was your direction?
Yeah, so my direction is massive savings and cushion case.
Yeah.
So this is the Seconda Airborne men's watch. And, Panerai has like big sort of loom markers for the legibility when you're diving in the depths.
Absolutely.
So I've got the big markers. They're not loom though, they're just light green paint printed on the dial, but still 50 meters of water resistance, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Which is, Panerai's I think can go a little bit deeper, but there's, not much in it.
It's enough to sort of show it to the water and be like, look, there's water there. And it goes, okay, I'm fine with that.
But the matte black dial, the big light green markers, the cushion case, it all comes together to look kind of Panerai tickles. Would you not agree? And for $59.99, Andrew, God, that's massive savings.
Boy, what a saving.
They're practically giving them away.
Do you know what? If you wanted to try the whole Panerai vibe, you wanted to get a feel for it, but you didn't want to lay out all the schmackaroonies, for £59, why not?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, when you do decide you do want the Panerai and you buy the actual Panerai, you can keep this for the one that you wear when you're smashing rocks or whatever it is that people do in their spare time. It's a good shout. Why spend thousands and thousands of pounds when you can spend £59?
And it's also got Seconda's famous silver-coloured alloy case, which I'm sure is very durable. And silver is a popular colour.
It certainly is. Also, another popular colour, Tom, if you'll draw your attention to the Time Factors website, is bronze.
Ooh.
Do you like a bit of bronze in a dive watch?
I do like a bit of bronze, yes.
This is the Persister Bronze PRS30, and you may recognise the cushion case, and you may even recognise the kind of the Roman numerals on the Panerai sandwich dial, kind of akin to the California dial, but they finished it off. It's pretty cool, I think. You get an actual ETA movement 28242 top grade 42mm bronze case, and a whole bunch of water resistance at 100 metres. This thing is £755. Not too bad. Not too bad. What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm not a fan personally of the conical crown. It looks like a caramel cup.
Who doesn't love a caramel cup, Tom?
Yeah, I suppose. The Persister logo is a little bit serify for my liking.
Who doesn't love a squiggle?
I don't like joined up writing, Andrew. You know how I struggle. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool, isn't it? I like the numerals. They're sort of recessed. Is that like how do they do that with an extra sort of sandwich layer under the dial? That's very Panerai-esque, isn't it?
Yep, fully loomed underneath. Yeah, compared to your one, this is actually readable once the sun has gone and before you turn your lights on.
And it's got a movement as well compared to my one.
Yeah, and the metal won't peel off in the hot sun.
Yeah, excellent.
Double bonus. Considerably more than your one, but I think equally as worthy of your consideration.
Yeah, definitely.
But never mind your consideration, Tom. I'm interested in what the dear viewers and listeners think, because down in the comments they're going to tell me. And I've got a good feeling, Tom. I think they're going to pick me this time.
Yeah, you had some strong picks. You did spend a bit more money than me, I think. Maybe I'll total up the score and see if that favours me a bit more, and then maybe I'll put it up on screen.
You do have that power, and there is nothing I can do to stop you.
Maybe I took a bath on that Seiko, actually.
Yeah, so be careful what you wish for. Speaking of which, we might do more of these. So, dear viewer and listener, if you've enjoyed it, please do, as they say, smash the like button, give the subscribe button a tickle, and why not splash a few keys into the comments section. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.